Hello and welcome to this lesson. In this warm-up, we're going to be answering the question down here, how does My Plate guide our dietary habits? And this first section is going to focus on nutritional needs. This lesson will have a number of different objectives. The first is to assess nutritional needs based on dietary guidelines and My Plate. We'll also formulate healthy meal plans and snacks as part of a balanced diet, and we'll describe how nutritional needs change throughout a lifespan. But the first main objective is this one right up here. So, when dealing with dietary guidelines, we want to give advice on how good dietary habits can actually promote health, which will lead to a reduced risk of major chronic diseases, and we'll also give advice that's based on science. These dietary guidelines, this is from a really high-level view. Eat plenty of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Drink fat-free or low-fat milk, and make sure your diet includes lean meats, poultry, fish, beans, eggs, as well as nuts. And diets, they need to be low in saturated fats, in trans fats, in cholesterol, salt, as well as added sugars. You can find a lot of these guidelines in this My Plate, which you see right here. What this does is it provides a visual tool for understanding a healthy diet. It was created and maintained by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It promotes a balanced diet, which is really important, and it encourages people to eat more of some foods and less of others. Sort of a quick glimpse at the My Plate, you can see how it's divided amongst things like fruits, grains, and proteins, as well as vegetables. And we're going to look at each of these in turn. So again, grains, vegetables, fruits, proteins, and finally, dairy. This My Plate, it was actually developed in 2011. And it was more clearly defined a healthy diet, and it taught consumers about making healthier food choices when they shop for groceries, or when you eat at school, when you eat possibly at work, or when you're at home eating as well. Let's begin by looking at grains. Grains are any food that's made from wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, barley, or other cereal grain, and they're broken up into two different categories. The first category are whole grains, which contain whole grain kernel. You can find those in oatmeal, in whole cornmeal, in brown rice, and whole wheat pasta. The second one are refined grains, and these are grains that have been milled. The brain and the germ have been removed from these. And these are done from finer grains so that they actually have a longer shelf life. So you'll find them on the shelves much longer. But that process, it actually removes some dietary fiber, some iron, and many B vitamins. Also, some of these refined grains that you see right here of white bread, white rice, cornbread, as well as noodles, they are enriched, which means that they have had iron and B vitamins added back. But the fiber, which is critical, cannot be added back into the actual grain. The suggested recommendation for grains are 6 ounces a day, or 3 ounces of whole grains, and 3 ounces of refined grains. So there's a 1 ounce equivalent right over here of 1 slice of bread, 1 cup of dry cereal, or half a cup of cooked rice, pasta, or cereal. So that's a way you can look at 1 ounce equals these various things right here. This 6 ounce grains per day, that's the average intake for boys and girls within 9 to 18 years of age. The second major one, a part of My Plate, were vegetables. And this is any vegetable, or 100%, that's critical, 100% vegetable juice is considered a member of the vegetable group. And it's broken down into 5 different categories. There are dark green vegetables like broccoli and spinach, Orange vegetables, carrots and pumpkins, dried beans and peas, like black beans and lentils. There are starchy vegetables like corn and potatoes, as well as other vegetables like asparagus and eggplant. So these vegetables, they can be raw or cooked, fresh, frozen, canned, or dried, dehydrated, and may be whole, cut up, or mashed. So just keep those things in mind when thinking about the vegetables. The recommendation is to have 2.5 cups of vegetables a day, and it should be of 5 different varieties that we just took a look at. Right over here are some half-cup equivalents. A half cup of cooked vegetable, or 1 cup of leafy vegetable, or a half a cup of vegetable juice. And those are all half-cup equivalents. Shifting our attention, here are fruits. Any fruit or 100%, again, that 100% is really critical, is considered a member of the fruit group. So we have apples, berries, melons, oranges, peaches, and raisins. These fruits, they can be prepared in any method: fresh, canned, frozen, dried, or whole cut, cut up, or even pureed. The recommendation says 2 cups per day. So some equivalent of this, a 1/2 equivalent, are 1/2 cup fresh, canned, or frozen fruit, 1 medium fruit, 1/4 cup dried fruit, or 1/2 cup of a fruit juice. So make sure you're getting those. All right, we're doing good. Dairy. Any fluid milk products that have many foods made up from milk are considered members of the dairy group. So in milk, milk could be fat-free or low-fat. For yogurt, it could be fat-free or low-fat. Cheese could be cheddar or ricotta. Milk-based desserts could be pudding or ice cream. The foods here, the ones that retain their calcium, are members of the dairy group, while foods that have little or no calcium are obviously not considered part of your dairy group. And most dairy group choices should be low-fat, or you may have even seen skim. The recommendations show that you need to have 3 cups per day. So here's 1 cup equivalent. 1 cup fat-free milk, 1 cup yogurt, or 1.5 ounces of fat-free natural cheese. In addition, on your plate, you need to make sure you have proteins. And proteins are any foods made from meat, poultry, fish, dry beans or peas, eggs, nuts. Seeds are considered members of the protein group. And you can see some examples in these charts, in these boxes right down here. Dried beans and peas, these are considered part of the protein group. And again, like the other one we just spoke about, most should be low-fat selections. That's really important. So your protein recommendations are 5.5 ounces per day. So that could be a 1 ounce equivalent, could be 1 egg, 1/4 cup of dried beans, 1 ounce cooked meat, or 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. We'll all do that. This is all part of a healthy diet. U.S. Dietary Guidelines and MyPlate, they provide that general information, and you can actually get specific information on servings at this website right here. There you can find the amount from each food group, depends on age, gender, as well as physical activity. So that's really important to understand how you maintain a healthy diet. So we chatted about some dietary guidelines, which led to our discussion on MyPlate, and then we finished by looking at what made up the various food groups. So thinking ahead is the next time you sit down for a meal, make sure you keep MyPlate in mind to be sure that you have the key food groups on your plate, and also make sure they're in the right proportions.